Next up is Japan. They normally just feed the ball to their main player, Fuji, who throws a lot of compressors, so unless you're good at catching power moves, you're going to take a lot of damage. Now, something I didn't mention a little bit earlier, starting with China, a lot of teams will start to intercept your passes if you're not careful about them. So, to prevent your passes from being intercepted, you can usually walk closer to the player that you're throwing the ball to. For example, if I want to pass the ball up top, I would walk all the way to the top before passing to him. And you can also do jump passes, which are less frequently intercepted. Steve's ground move is the uppercut. It's useful because it can go through multiple players. It sometimes uppercuts early though, so you might not always get the ball back after it hits your opponent. Okay, now again, notice that Sato has the best endurance on the team because Sato has a lot of hair. So you can usually tell who you need to target based on their appearance. The endurance guys stick around the longest, so if you get a free hit in on them, you try to do it. USSR has great stats, high energy, high throw power, and high endurance. My strategy against them is usually just to throw lots of power moves at them and to take openings as you get them. That means using the compressor to try to score free hits, the spear to hit multiple opponents, and the blaster since it does a lot of damage and the computer seems to have a harder time catching it. Now a note about the sideline guys. You'll notice that I put Bill up at the top. He has the highest throw power of the 3 sideline guys with a throw power of 8. If you use a ground move like the spear or uppercut that goes through opponents, you can usually score a free hit on people if you want to by passing to the person up top and doing a jump throw and hitting the guy who's still on the ground. You usually don't see me do this because I can do a lot more damage just by passing back to the guy on the left side of the field. But if you are at the end of the game or you really want to get rid of a certain player, you can pass to the guy up top and do some damage that way. Now you notice that Boris also has the accelerator, except his doesn't tend to cause much trouble for you because he throws it at the midline, so it doesn't have a lot of opportunity to speed up. Usually the biggest confusion with the accelerator is when he actually doesn't get it off and does a normal throw, and that actually comes to hit you faster than the accelerator would. Okay, now most people think you can't do power moves against sideline guys, but watch what Steve does. Did an accelerator right against the top sideline guy of USSR. Most people know that you can just throw the ball and hit somebody for some fun, but since the accelerator goes down to ground level so early, you can also score power moves against the sideline guys. They come back eventually, as you can see the guy heading back towards the left, but it's fun and you can get rid of guys for a while by doing a power move against them. Okay, and that does it for USSR. The last team you're going to play is their Shadow team. These are the same guys that you chose to play against USSR with, except they have bulked up stats. So they have great endurance, they catch the ball a lot better, and they also throw some power moves at you. If you want to have a slightly easier time, you could choose a weaker player for the USSR round like Mike, and omit a player that throws powerful shots like Sam or Randy. I think that'd be less fun. You wouldn't want to choose John because of his good endurance. The order of your players on the field doesn't matter too much, but I did select Randy, Steve, and Sam in that order for a reason. I like to open up with Randy and throw a compressor to hopefully get a few extra free shots against my opponents. The computer also tends to frequently target your third player, so I like to put Sam in that position so he can counter with the spear in case the computer does a power move around the middle of the field. It could also be a good idea to put a player with high energy or good endurance in your third slot, since that player would be able to stick around a little bit longer, giving you more flexibility with your power shot selection. I mentioned that Paul of the AllStars was special with regards to his power shots. His aerial power shot is actually done from a standing jump while throwing at the peak of his jump. This makes him special because he's the only player who can do a power shot from the sidelines. However, if you use the AllStars, you probably want to use him in the field. His normal ground power shot is the Warp, the shot that Helgi of Iceland throws that disappears. His special ground power shot is thrown by running and immediately throwing the ball. The ball will travel in loops across the field, running through any players that don't catch it. It can be avoided if your opponent ducks, but it's the most unique power move in the game. A quick word about the difficulty levels in Super Dodgeball. On Easy, computer opponents will not be able to catch any power shots, so you could just breeze through the whole game by throwing a bunch of spears with Sam. The main difference between the normal and difficult levels are that computer opponents are a little bit better at catching your shots at the difficult level, and the computer opponents throw power moves more frequently on difficult. The With that being said, nobody's going to argue that Super Dodgeball is a very difficult game to beat. Okay, so that does it. This was one of my favorite games when I was growing up, and it was fun to make this video for you. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I welcome any comments or suggestions that you might have.